Welcome to Adeptus On-Air, the show where we examine how individuals and companies make decisions that drive their business and personal success. Each week, we connect with notable professionals who pull back the curtain on the industries that Adeptus has been on the cutting edge of for the last 30 years, including music, sports, and entertainment, as well as new emerging markets.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Adeptus On-Air. I am your host, Mike Hoffman. Today, I am joined by the president and founder of ABetter Design Company, David Beker. David, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's my pleasure. We've had some technical difficulties, but I have a good feeling we're going to keep moving this time. So fingers crossed. So your company is very fascinating to me when I read about what it does, but why don't you just give the listeners a brief overview of your company?
Okay, so our company is a relatively new company, and it's really geared towards helping people bring their ideas to market. My background is not initially in the world of inventing. I am an MSW. I have a master's in social work, spent many years working in community service and informal education. And at a certain point, felt like I was looking for a change, and I was always kind of creative and entrepreneurial. And one thing led to another, and here we are with ABetter Design Company, and it's really been a great and exciting step in my career.
And this is something that you do across the world because as I'm speaking to you, you are living in Israel, correct?
That is correct. I'm originally from Minneapolis, and a few years ago I came over here, and I've been living here since. And yeah, all good.
Well, first and foremost, we hope you are safe, and we hope your family is doing well.
Thank you. We're doing okay.
Good. Glad to hear it. So when I was reading about some of the inventions, they're fascinating to me, and I can't tell you how many times over the years, you're at dinner with another family, or you're just talking to some people, and like, God, if I could just, if I could invent something, or I could kind of come up with this, or how do I, there needs to be a way to do this. And every time they say it, someone else says, yeah, but that already exists, or, oh yeah, I know about that. There's an app for that, that kind of thing. So what is the approach really? And it's not really a fair question, but I'll ask it anyway. What's the approach from a seed being planted in someone's head, whether it's in the middle of the night or just sitting talking to someone, to working it through to it actually becoming a reality?
Okay, so I'll say a few different things. My first step in the entrepreneurial world was when a friend of mine who I'd been talking with, we both kind of been thinking of doing different things, and he came over to me and he said, I got another idea. And we started talking about it. And the immediate thing we both did, because we both thought it was a good idea, it was actually in the food industry. It was a unique ice cream cone, the cone itself. The first thing we started doing was research. And the second thing we started doing was research. And the third thing we started doing was research. Because exactly as you said, there are a lot of things out there. And every time you think you got something good, exactly what you said, you go on Amazon, you go looking around a little bit, and boom, oh, somebody did that already.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're able to improve on it. And other times you say, okay, great, it's out there. I guess I had a good idea because it's selling.
Yeah.
And sometimes you say, wow, you know what? There's no one doing this. That's pretty amazing. Or they're doing something, but it really only incorporates part of what I'm doing. And I'm talking about taking this 4 steps further, and there's an opportunity here.
So the company you're talking about is Bisconi, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now tell us what Bisconi is.
So Bisconi is a unique gourmet ice cream cone company. We created ice cream cones. Literally, we started in our own kitchens. And then we were selling throughout Israel, from literally the north all the way to the south, constantly getting phone calls from the best gourmet ice cream stores. The uniqueness about the cones was that they were A, whole grain, B, flavored, and C, and this was arguably the most important part of it, they had inclusions in them. Inclusions would mean that as an integral part of the ice cream cone, they had nuts, or they had dried fruit. So you had a cherry almond ice cream cone, flavored ice cream cone, not the ice cream.
Sure.
The ice cream cone itself with bits of almonds and bits of dried cherries as an integral part of the cone. And then you can infuse that with other flavors of the ice cream cone, of the flavored ice cream that you chose. It was a fantastic experience. We wound up getting cold called from 4 of the 7 top ice cream companies in the world,
Wow.
inquiring. And it was really our first venture into the entrepreneurial world, and we probably made some missteps along the way from inexperience,
Sure.
and probably didn't grow to the place where it thought it was going to. But it was a great experience, and we had a lot of fun, and we made a lot of great sales and a lot of great connections, and led us to our next steps.
So you had this idea, which obviously you did research. You did all 3 steps. Now, from idea to establishing the uniqueness to obviously then everything else, whether it's prototypes, market testing, production, manufacturing, distribution, all these steps. Who your training, as you said, was elsewhere. Was this all just learned by a leap of faith and making mistakes?
So, to a large extent, yes, it was learned by just getting down and dirty and experimenting and knocking on doors and cold calling and catching a break here and there.
So it's a lot of you took some courses. You obviously did a lot of research, not just about your product, but you probably did research about how to bring this product to market.
So yes, we researched both the product itself and potential needs in the marketplace where there are gaps, and also what needed to be done to create the product.
Mhm.
It was such, we spent a lot of time researching machinery, for example.
Yes.
Even to the, we basically met every single ice cream cone machine operator here in Israel.
Mhm.
And even machinery that wasn't in use, and we talked them into allowing us to experiment with it. A lot of using skill sets from other places, that, when I worked in the non-for-profit world, I was in the fundraising
Yeah.
area, and you have to be afraid not to cold call people and just knock
Sure.
on doors. And so that's what I did. And I knocked on doors of ice cream stores and said, what would you think about such a product like this? And they're like, really? And I said, let me give you a taste of something.
Mhm.
And we give them a taste, and they're like, okay, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we're in that store and the next store and the next chain. And but
How
you
many
have to have a willingness to experiment and to put yourself out there in that
and
way.
a willingness to handle rejection, because obviously,
100%.
yeah. So
100%.
specifically about this company, like how many different flavored cones were there at its peak?
At its peak, we were at 5 with a whole bunch of other ones along the way. And we were in about 65 different locations, and more on the way in theory. And
So basically, this is a little different because this is one of yours, but obviously your business is designed to help others.
yeah,
So I'm going to give a really bad analogy here. You're kind of like Shark Tank, but without putting in your own money. So meaning you're hearing ideas and you're kind of determining, hey, is this something I want to help you with? Would that be fair to say?
well, I would say I do a few different things.
Mhm.
First of all, I do my own products. So, for example, this is one that came out a couple of months ago. It's
Yeah.
called Bankable, and we can talk about that also.
Yeah, would love to.
And that is a product that I brought myself. I've got another product that somebody else turned to me and said, I've got this idea. What do you think? Could you help me? And we started talking about it. And I'm very happy to just sit and talk and help.
Mhm.
And, sometimes somebody turned to me about 3 weeks ago. A friend of mine said, I met this guy. He's created a card game. Would you be willing to talk to him, give him a hand?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. Now, there was an element in the back of my mind that said, who knows, maybe there's a good space here for partnership.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
in reality, I kind of figured that probably wasn't my space. And we spent about an hour and a half, and I gave him some good connections and some good names. It wasn't something I was particularly interested in pursuing,
Mhm.
but I'm very happy. I believe in this industry. I believe that there's a lot of great ideas out there from a lot of great people. And if I can help somebody push something forward and push their dream forward, let's go for it, And sometimes there might be a space for partnership,
Yeah.
but anybody I can help, that's great.
So talk to me with what you can talk about some other. I want to get to yours in a second because I was reading about that product. But talk to me about some of the products that have been brought to you that have kind of made it to market that were really just like great success stories.
So as I said, I'm still more or less at the beginning of the road here.
Yeah. Okay.
And, I don't have something specific I can point to.
Yeah.
There is one in particular, which will be coming out in about 2.5 months. About 2.5 months. It should be already for sale, which is kind of a spin-off on cornhole.
Okay.
And he came to me with an idea, and one thing led to another. In the end, we did wind up partnering. I'm actually manufacturing it.
Nice.
And it's been great.
Okay, now let's talk about that one that you just held up, because that actually looked kind of cool. So talk to me about bankable.
Okay. So as you might be able to see in my background here, I'm originally from Minnesota, and
Yeah.
I'm a big sports guy,
Yeah.
both following professional and college sports as well as playing.
Sure.
And I grew up, especially in Minnesota, where the winters can be long.
Yeah.
I grew up playing a lot of Nerf basketball in my room. And that was something, it was a staple. And I always had this thought that, what did we always do with our Nerf basketball? You can always play one-on-one,
Sure.
but you'd throw it against the wall and try to make a basket off the wall, and you try to do this and try to do that. And today's day and age, I don't know if you know Dude Perfect and things like that. So the world of trick shots, you're probably about my age. We grew up on Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, nothing but net, right?
Yeah.
And that idea of trick shots has continued. And I was just thinking, well, why couldn't an indoor basketball hoop have a trick shot element of it? So I took a regular Nerf basketball hoop, and we have turned it into bankable. What's unique about bankable? First of all, it can be a regular hoop, hang it over the door, no problem. Second of all, you can create your own bank shots.
Oh, very nice.
Backboard that adjusts at different angles, and that adds for a whole different play pattern.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with the hoop. The hoop can go up.
Ah.
Oops, got a little stuck there. That's why. There we go. The hoop can be angled up a little bit, right? So that's another different style you could have, right? You can also be angled down.
Yeah.
Right? Which, by the way, an inadvertent advantage of this, I realized, was my younger kids can't dunk. It's just too high when you're hanging on the door.
Yeah.
But when you're able to lower the rim a little bit, suddenly they can.
It becomes dunkable.
Lives.
Yeah.
Exactly. And additionally, you can also move it at different angles like this.
Sideways. Interesting.
So there's all sorts of different things, and it just expands the whole idea of trick shots, and the whole idea of, your game of horse or of pig totally changes.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot more options, and it's been a lot of fun. It was a great experience producing it, manufacturing it, coming up with different ways of doing it and figuring it all out. And we're excited to have it now out in the market.
And so I was going to say, when did that hit the market?
That hit the market a few months ago on Amazon.
Okay.
And we expect it'll be on Amazon for a while, and we expect it will then go to retail from there.
Oh, nice. That's exciting. That's exciting. So how do you think your business now that we're basically a global marketplace, do you think it would be any different if you were here in the US versus Israel, or is it the kind of thing that you could do this from really wherever you are?
When you say this, you mean a better design, or
dealing with other potential entrepreneurs, like you said,
so
or you deal.
Yeah. So I believe that you can, despite the technical issues we had at the beginning of this, with Zoom and with other platforms, it's really, you can talk to everybody all over the country. I did some design work with a guy in Amsterdam. I'm doing some work. The main person I've been working on with a lot of this stuff is based in New Jersey. You've got something like Fiverr. I don't know if you're familiar with Fiverr. Fiverr is a easy and cheap way to get everything from logos to websites to all sorts of design elements to voiceovers to whatever, and they're based all over the world. In today's day and age, this is not a problem to do. That being said, my target audience for my products at this point is geared more towards the United States. And, so right now that's really where my sales focus is. But in terms of being able to work with people, as long as people are flexible, right now for me, it's 9:30, whereas for you, it's 2:30 in the afternoon.
Correct.
I'm fine taking a call at 9:30 at night. And as long as people are willing to be flexible,
Yeah.
there's no reason why if I'm in India or in Israel or the United States,
Mhm.
people nowadays can work all over
Yeah.
the place.
Interesting. So I alluded to Shark Tank before, but Shark Tank has actually, I think, done a lot for entrepreneurs in the sense that, it can actually be somewhat, it's an entertaining show. Obviously, it's a TV show, but obviously you can learn a lot about, bringing a product, getting patents, securing investors, and things like that. Do you think that show, and obviously whatever that pitch is obviously edited to a 10-minute pitch. The person could be in there for hours. Do you think it is a relatively fair representation of that at least part of the entrepreneurial process?
So I'll tell you, I entered the entrepreneurial world that I'm in right now,
Mhm.
leave the Biscone ice cream cone business aside. I entered it in one place and wound up in another place.
Mhm.
The two places I'll talk about are the licensing model
Mhm.
and the manufacturing model.
Sure.
And my original intention was actually to enter the licensing model. And in the end, I'm winding up more in the manufacturing model. What is the
Mhm.
licensing model? Licensing model is that it used to be that the companies did their own things, right? If I was a small company, I'd hire a couple of product designers and
Mhm.
that would be my team and we do stuff.
Yeah.
If I was a larger company, I might have 25 product designers. And if I'm a huge company, I might have 200 or 500 product designers.
Mhm.
At some point, there was a realization, well, wait a second. There's a lot of people in this world with really good ideas in our industry. If it's toys, if it's auto, if it's stationery, if it's whatever it might be. And we should really take advantage of that. And so it's very easy today for entrepreneurs, for inventors to be able to do some research and then turn to companies and say, I have a great idea. Can we talk? And more often than not, if you do the correct homework, you can find that person to talk with.
Mhm.
And if you got a really good idea, they would be interested in licensing it from you. And what does that do for you? Theoretically, if it gets to the marketplace, you would get some percentage of the sales,
Sure.
2%, 3%, 5%, whatever
Mhm.
it might be. The advantage of that is it takes a lot of the risk away from you,
Right.
right? You don't have to manufacture, you don't have to store, you don't have to ship, you don't have to
Mhm.
market, whatever. On the other hand, your income as a result of that will be lower,
Mhm.
and you might also lose some control of the product. And there's
Mhm.
lots of other issues that can come along as well.
Yeah.
The other side is manufacturing. So again, my initial plan with Bankable was to license it, and then the opportunity came up, and I realized, you know what? I'm going to manufacture this myself and do it
Mhm. Good.
myself.
Okay.
It's been a fantastic learning experience. There's been
Mhm.
a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, of course.
Amazon is not easy, and other things. And I also risked my own money to do that.
Mhm.
But and I think I'm now seeing the fruits of my labor. The opportunity there is much greater, and now I'm starting to build something bigger. And when I
Mhm.
do this cornhole spin-off, it's going to connect. And suddenly, I'm building a company that also deals with active play and indoor and outdoor games, et cetera,
Sure.
et cetera.
Mhm.
There's a whole route there. So I think that an entrepreneur needs to think about which route they're really looking to go at.
Sure.
Shark Tank is kind of a mix, because Shark Tank, a little bit different than when Shark Tank started initially, when
Mhm.
it was more of a licensing model.
Yeah.
But Shark Tank now, in order to be able to really make it to that show now, you need to be able to have manufactured, done your own work, had your own sales,
Mhm.
and then they'll start talking to you and listening. One of the questions you'll notice on there is always, what's your income?
What are your year-to-date sales? Yes.
Exactly?
Yeah.
How many units are you selling
Mhm.
monthly? Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So it's a different model than it was maybe when it started 10 years ago or whatever it was.
But do you believe that show, to me, at least in my opinion, the bigger benefit is not whether or not you get the deal. It's that 15 minutes of free advertising you're getting on either ABC or CNN or what have you.
No question about it. No question about it. If you could say you were on Shark Tank,
Yeah.
that's a big step forward. Even if they didn't go for it.
Right.
But millions of people are seeing your product.
Right.
You pitch well. If you've got something interesting, and I think most people, when they go on Shark Tank, they've already got something interesting.
Mhm.
Just because you didn't, make it all the way through,
Right.
it's still a great step. But the amount of people that get into Shark Tank is so minimal, and there are many other avenues, trade shows,
Of course, yes.
cold calling, connect with people on LinkedIn, do your research about the companies. I heard a story recently about somebody who created a product. It was kind of something for, very young children, kind of like a placemat, tablecloth kind of thing, whatever. It was kind of a baby item. And he said he turned to 100 companies. He did all his research, found all the companies dealing in this industry, turned to 100 companies, rejected across the board. No, 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 no. He determined he needed to go to 100 companies and he was going to stop. Got to company 100. A week later, company, he had been tracking it, company number 7 that he had turned to, the 7th company he had turned to, called him back and said, you know what, I think we're ready now.
Wow.
Sometimes it has to be the right person, right place, right time. It's not only, it doesn't necessarily mean just because you're getting rejected that you've got a bad idea. And by the way, when I first turned to the person I spoke to about this, I turned to kind of a big guy in the toy industry. Actually, at the time I was a little bit naive, and I don't think I realized how big of a guy he was, how big of a player he was in the industry. And I actually pitched him 6 different ideas.
Wow.
This one was the 6th idea. And the other 5, too expensive.
Sure.
Other people have done it. Nobody's interested, not on trend.
Yeah.
You gotta put in your work. You gotta figure these things out. You gotta follow it. I learned a lot from that call. Plus I got a product to be able to move forward.
So it was a win-win at the end of the day.
Win 100%.
Wow. So how would you like to see the next 5-10 years of your personal products as well as your business? Like you seem like you're a pretty goal-oriented guy, which I think is super important in anything. So do you have in your head, okay, I hope to have 2 or 3 more things out by 2028, or I hope to help this many things get to market, or are you just kind of taking it as it comes along?
So I'll say the first things first. Inventing and product design is a lot of fun. It's just fun to be able to think out of the box, think a little bit wildly, and come up with ideas. It can be very frustrating when you come up with a great idea. Well, oh, there we go. Boom, go straight into Amazon. Oh, 14 of those already exist. Okay. Then you think of the next thing, you know what I mean? But it can be a lot of fun with all that frustration. That being said, I see 2 directions. One is I want to grow my own personal business. I want to keep having fun and coming up with ideas. It's a real thrill when you see your first ice cream cone being sold in the store, when you see your first bank ball being sold online or whatever it might be. It's exciting, and bringing it home to my kids, and they're like, did that? That's amazing. It's great. So I want to keep doing that, and I want to grow. I really am enjoying this particular space of active play. Although I also have other products in the stationery market and publishing and other areas. But this is the area I'm really focusing on first and foremost now. And number 2 is I really enjoy helping people. And I, all these conversations I have, and I do get calls and just, that have nothing to do with what I'm interested in. But it's just, anywhere I can help people, that creative process. And, I am, this is my company, and it can be a little bit lonely sometimes.
Oh, sure.
So to have those kind of interactions, it feeds my energies and my creativity, and that's great. So anybody I can help with that, I would love to keep growing that side of things as well, whether or not I get engaged in their products or not. But to help people do that is a thrill.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you. So Bankable, people can locate, you said, on Amazon. It's just bank-a-ball. So they can find that there. And I really enjoy this, and I wish you nothing but continued success and with this product and the 20 or 50 more that you're going to be inventing over the next 10, 15 years.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll just add also, they can also find me on my website.
Okay.
ABetterDesignCompany.com.
Perfect. So ABetterDesignCompany.com.
That's correct.
David, get some sleep. It's late over there.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And thanks for sticking with me through the technical problems.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Adeptus On-Air. If you like this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. The views and opinions by the podcast speakers and guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of Adeptus. This podcast provides general information only and is not intended to constitute advice.